All right. Hey everyone. Um Going to get started here. Apologize for the slight delay here. Just sorting out some technical things. Um but uh yeah, anyway, welcome to our Sunday live stream. Um which I'm starting to do more regularly here. If you are popping in, say hi. Um And today we're going to just continue on with this gentleman here, this lovely crustacean. To catch y'all up, part one, we knocked out our sketch. Didn't get too far into color. Probably going to circle back on that a little bit, but I just want to focus on the sculpt a little bit for a while, and then maybe we'll circle back and come up with a more interesting way to color this. We have a lot of really cool references that we can pull from here for that, so there's really no shortage of interesting things from nature and from life that we can pull from. I'm especially thinking about this guy as our kind of primary texture and color driver. I wish I had a higher resolution photo than this, but um, that's what we got, and I think it'll be enough. And yeah, I think today we're just going to keep refining this. We did a very rough block out last time, and I think we got the proportions roughly where I want them. You know, we're putting him in this A pose so that we can have a little bit of this is pretty typical if we're going to be converting this into a game asset. Oh, hey. Nice to see you here. Yeah, glad you finally got to pop in. Yeah, this has been fun. I'm glad to be doing this again as well. And just to reconnect with some of the people that pop in here and there, and just to kind of share this share the process a little bit with you guys. Yeah, and do some 3D, which I haven't done so much in the channel before, but you know, it's something that has been more interesting and compelling to me recently. Not more interesting than the 2D, but I just like working on both, which is kind of why I like to bounce back and forth a little bit here. But yeah, let's see. That's not what I meant to do. Control Shift A. Let's pin this on top, and yeah, let's get right into it. So we might have a few. I think we have our main pieces here. If we look at our subtools, we've got main body, we've got our shoulder, we've got some eyeballs, some mandible things. Second pair of eyeballs, which I'm not totally sold on at this point. They're pretty minor feature here. I think what we're going to do before we move on to the detailing is we're just going to this little 3D workflow thing that we're going to do. We're going to Z-remesh and then subdivide and reproject, which means that basically what we have now is we have this very kind of low resolution mesh. But you know, a good workflow is to kind of bake this down to an even lower resolution mesh, and then subdivide it. So we have a few different levels of subdivision to work with, and that's going to be much easier to work with than just working in Dynamesh all the time and getting too far in the Dynamesh phase. I like to use Dynamesh for just the basic block out. And then, but now that we have, you know, basically our major forms kind of mapped in here, we can always repeat that process later if we get more detail and we find that our basic geometry is not really supporting changes we want to make. We can always zero mesh, reproject back down onto it again. But it's just a good workflow to have. So I'll show you what I mean here. Some of you may already be familiar with this process, but so we're going to take this main body. I'm going to duplicate it out. Let's do it with this first. Let's hide these other things. Whoops, I'm used to Blender where you can just click and drag to hide things, but all right, so we got this guy, and this is totally symmetrical right now. We're probably going to break symmetry at some point, but it's good to get a lot of the work in before we break symmetry. You know, at least flesh out the parts that we want to be symmetrical first, and then we can start to break that up, break out parts that might not be symmetrical. We don't want to get to our final result and have complete, you know, vert to vert symmetry. It just, I mean, even this, it just looks kind of unnatural. You know, that's not what we. Even though the symmetry is present, you know, as we talked about before, throughout our what's the word I'm looking for? Our animal kingdom. It's never quite exact. You know, we want to have a little bit of flexibility there, even if it's just kind of in the details or where spikes are placed. You know, there's always a little bit of. I mean, these are not good examples, but I mean, if you look, kind of the spike placement is a little bit different on each side. It just, you know, if we mix up the rhythm a little bit, it helps. It helps, but actually. These guys are kind of shockingly symmetrical. With the claws, with the crabs and stuff, you generally see a little bit of asymmetry, especially in the more pronounced iterations of these guys. They usually have one big claw, which we're probably going to do with this guy. It's something we kind of did in the concept, but I think I want to push that a little bit more. I guess I kept them pretty much the same here, but I think I do want to break them up at some point, but hey ho, hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're gonna deal with this autosave here. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. Yeah, hope y'all had a good Father's Day weekend. Last weekend I ended up driving up to San Francisco, doing a little bit of saw my brother up there, and went to Big Sur, which was really cool. It's a very beautiful natural landscape there. Tried to do some camping. Didn't really work out. There we go. All right. Is this working? Give me a ping in the chat if this is coming through. I'm back. Okay, good. I don't know what happened there. But apologize for that. Some weird internet stuff. So I'm just gonna pull up the other part of the stream so I can make sure that nothing weird is happening. All right, well, hopefully y'all didn't miss too much. And please let me know if there are any more interruptions, but it sounds like I'm coming through again, so cool. All right, so basically what we did, go through these parts, remeshed, subdivided, and then we have this bit. Camping story. Oh man, it was that long ago. Oof, I don't know what happened. Usually my internet is a lot better than this. But Not much of a story. I tried to camp in Big Sur. Um, but yeah, apparently on 4th of July is a big camping weekend. I guess I assumed people would be mostly at home and doing their things there, but all the campsites were full, and it's just this one long road along the coast. And by the time I got there, the sun was already setting, and I just couldn't find any spots, and there wasn't even really any places to like hike up, any trails. It's kind of an odd situation there. I probably could have found something if I spent the time to hike up and find a spot, but it's just like sun was setting, and I was gonna be uh, driving up, continuing up to San Francisco the next day. I was like, just screw it. I'm just gonna. I tried I tried sleeping in my car. That didn't really work, so I ended up sleeping next to my car. I put out my sleeping pad, and it was actually not bad. I didn't really sleep much, but it was right on the coast. There was a nice breeze and very quiet. So could have been worse. Actually, honestly, I probably may have even preferred that over going to a campsite where everyone was making a bunch of noise and doing 4th of July stuff. Um, not a big fan of the fireworks and the yelling and all that kind of stuff. It's just not my scene. So it was actually a really nice way to to spend that time. Um, and I did end up getting up in the morning and doing some hiking around the area. Really really beautiful. So I got my nature time in. All right, so we've getting back to this. We've got our things remeshed, so we can shift between subdivisions. And yeah, let's start actually detailing here, because that's what we're doing today. So I'm just gonna start by kind of I didn't get dragged into the sea by the crabman. Yeah, um, fortunately not. There were some sea lions there. Why are my shortcuts all messed up? Oh no, they're not. Okay, never mind. I'm just confused. There were some sea lions there, but I didn't get up. I only kind of heard them. I didn't really see them anywhere. I think they kind of came and went. So yeah, it was really nice. It was like very kind of foggy. I didn't really know what to expect, but yeah, and beautiful. There was one point where when I was driving along on my way there, and the sun was setting over the water, but it was so foggy that you couldn't actually see the sun, but you could see the reflection of the sun coming up from the water. It was really bizarre because the fog was so thick you couldn't even identify where the sun was, but you could see it bouncing up off the water. So it was like a very strange kind of effect, um, where it was like the world was inverted for a while. All right, I gotta focus here. What are we doing here? I'm just going in with damn standard, doing some creasing. I'm just like pushing in the crease and then pulling out on the edge to sharpen it up. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of do some. It's basically like sketching here. Actually, I should start at a slightly higher. Maybe it's okay. It's a good subdivision. I don't want to go like too far into the details yet, but just gonna do some. It's kind of got these like skin folds around here. Seen videos of people getting chased around by seals or sea lions. Yeah. All right, all right. Yeah. I haven't really been up close to them, but I don't know. I love all animals. Even though they're kind of goofy. All right. Let's see here. I think I don't want to get too sucked into the face here, but I do want to. I think it's important that we give this some proper attention and love because it's just such a focal point. I want to make sure these bits are reading well. There are some little spiky things. I'm getting way too detailed already, but whatever. Whatever. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, man. And I really want to get these eyes reading as one of the compelling characteristics of this character is that, you know, his eyes are a little bit more human, you know. He has some intelligence there. So I want to make sure that's at least roughly coming through. And I'm not going to get too detailed with it because we'll probably want to Z-remesh and reproject to get these. See, like when I'm trying to sculpt on this, you know, like just the base geometry is not really built to support this level of detail right now, which is fine. It's actually a good limitation. But I just want to make sure that from a distance, you know, that's reading. Oh, there was something, I was making a note to myself about something about this. Was it the size of the head? I'm not sure. I remember seeing something in the concept that I'd missed last time, but I can't remember what it was. I think I'm going to move these down at least, so that'll... And, you know, I'm actually going to... Since this is... I want to make sure that all parts of the silhouette are present. Let's actually duplicate this. And we can use this for our kind of ear things. And you know what? I think I want to just mirror this so I can... There we go. This is kind of right above here. Lobster Man could be a new cryptid. Yeah, for sure. The search for Lobster Man. That will be the first title of whatever IP this spawns. These, see, this is where having a lower resolution actually helps, because see, it's getting a little wobbly here. I'm just going to drop down to lower subdivision and smooth that out. In fact, I'm not even going to really try to detail these yet. I'm just going to like, they're kind of just part of the block out. I just want them there for context. I'm just going to rotate a little bit. There somewhere. All right. So that's there. For these big things, I mean, I think the final version I'll probably do in Blender. But let's see if we can just do a quick block out just for I want all the parts of the silhouette to be there. So let's do like a, I don't know, some kind of curve. What do we got here? Do a tube. Especially, oh yeah. So let's freeze subdivision levels. Let's do something like that. Nope. And then let's go to our curve. which I have under stroke up here, curve. Let's reduce the size. Again, I'm just kind of roughly blocking this in. Let's reduce the steps. Or curve step. Curve, substeps. Why do I feel like this is different? I haven't used curves in a while. Let's undo all that. Curve functions. Oh, no substeps. Honestly, I kind of hate working with curves in ZBrush. Oh my god. So I usually do this kind of stuff in Blender, but I can't remember exactly how these variables work. Let's try this again. There we go. For some reason, it wasn't updating the curve step. And how do we do this? Modifiers, radius, size. Reset. Can I do this? Ugh, I hate these things. Let's try that. There we go. Close enough. Let's just increase the size a little bit of thickness. Yeah. Let's see how that measures up to our concept. That's a little different. Let's just rotate. Kind of getting goat vibes from this right now, which is not exactly what I was going for, but plenty of time to adjust. I almost wish I had a lower subdivision level than this. Can I reconstruct one? No, of course not. But this will be fine. All right, so got a couple extra pieces there. Let's see. Let's go back here. And oh yeah, let's unfreeze subdivision levels. Remapping. I'm just going to turn my AC on here real quick. All right. So we have our subdivision levels back. We've got our some details here. We're starting to get. I'm just gonna adjust something about these eyes. I feel like, yeah, I think all of this shape. There's also some smaller mandibles, which we might as well throw in there. Let's duplicate. Hearing cicadas outside. Does the lobster man make sound? Yeah, probably a lot of like clicks and stuff. Clicks and squelches. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you know what I was thinking is I can't remember if I said this or not, but probably the closest thing to this sort of thing is those prawns from District 9. Really cool. Really cool design. And I think that movie had like a budget of like 50 million. It's kind of crazy. Pretty impressive for that. But yeah, they had some cool kind of clicky kind of language. They were more insectoid, I guess. than crustacean necessarily, but I think his eyes need to be wider. That's maybe what I'm seeing here. So let's go this over here. Yeah, there we go. And I think he needs a little bit more of a cheekbone, or whatever the lobster equivalent of a cheekbone is. So I'm using like a higher resolution or a lower subdivision level to make kind of larger changes here. I think actually this is supposed to kind of point out like this, which I think hopefully our mesh will support. We'll see. Getting way too detailed here. But I want to get this right. Yeah, I have actually been working on a friend of mine is putting a movie together, and with some sort of creatures and sci-fi elements to it. You know, we're trying to work with as low a budget as humanly possible. But I've been doing some VFX mock-ups for him. His name's Cody McGlashan. You should look him up. Look him up on Instagram. He's creating a really cool movie, kind of sci-fi comedy sort of thing, and I've just been doing some silly like VFX mock-ups in Blender, which is I don't know, something I was surprised at how much of it I could actually do just between Blender and Premiere, and just using some like quick models from and animations from Mixamo. Obviously creating my own models and assets and animating them and everything would be a huge time sink. But just like doing the kind of gray box version has been pretty interesting. I want to get this expression. His expression should be more solemn. He's kind of misunderstood, I think, is what I'm going for here, which I think everyone can relate to some degree. It's a very I've been thinking about that a lot recently, actually. It's a very, I feel like, underappreciated need, that a lot of people have, is to be understood. And I feel like that fuels a lot of things. I don't know, for me personally, it's like it's hard when it doesn't feel good to be misunderstood. I guess is my point. I don't know, man. So I don't know. I'm putting that into this character who in my headcanon, he's he really wants to connect with people, but he doesn't know how. He doesn't have the right mouth parts to to speak English, and he doesn't have hands. He can't shake anyone's hand or give anyone a hug or anything. He's this is getting really tragic. But he just wants to connect. He wants to be loved and to connect, and he can't figure out how. I feel like this story has been played out in many different ways before. I can't think of a really good example right now, but I don't know. I guess there's like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, or something like that. But That's a little different. I mean, this guy, you can tell from his eyes that, he's intelligent and he wants to, and he can communicate and understand something in some ways, but he's very limited. He lacks all of the ways that humans use to, their hands and their mouth and all that kind of stuff that people use to communicate. Um, so he's kind of stuck and he's kind of lonely. He keeps trying to approach fishermen. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying last time. I was like, he's like the opposite of a mermaid. Because instead of sucking or drawing the fishermen in, um to do them harm, he's trying to pop in and yes, Edward Scissorhands. That's a good one. That's a good one. Um he's trying to connect with them and be friends with them, but they think he's a monster. So they try to kill him every time, and they try to trap him with a net. Um and yeah, they just don't get him, man. I don't know. That's that is a very relatable experience for me. Um Not to get too couch therapy here, but I think it is for everyone, to some degree, Um it's hard to, you want to be able to connect and empathize with people, but people are complicated and they're very nuanced, and it's hard to properly describe or communicate, these very kind of ineffable things about yourself that you take for granted, but um it's a little bit harder to communicate to other people and also to understand that about other people. Um, what happened to my antenna here? Did I do that? Of course I did that. Nobody else is here. Oh boy. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just a placeholder. Oh, wait a minute. Oh shit. What did I do? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I forgot that this was not a separate subtool, but it doesn't matter because I'm just gonna separate it out. Let's mask it, and then split mask to points. Well, I'll have to freeze subdivisions again. Or do I? Can't remember. No, I don't. Thank God. So now I have these separated, and these don't need subdivision. I'm just gonna delete those. Yeah, I kind of screwed this up, but whatever. Let's smooth it out. Smooth it out. That's good. It's all good. Um, yes. Well put. Now what happened here? Some weird artifacts. Doesn't matter. Smooth it out. I'm already spending way too much time on the face, but I think it's worth it. I think these are some good changes. Use the clay builder. This is one of my favorite brushes. It's very simple, but it's really good for carving out these kinds of details, or additive. Kind of, well, yeah, exactly. Kind of like you're working with clay. You're just sort of putting it on there and then you're building it out. I remember I do want to have some segments here. So let's go to our damn standard, just 3. By the way, I have my brushes set up to number keys for hotkeys. Really easy thing to set up that I really recommend for anyone working in ZBrush, to be able to switch quickly switch between your favorite brushes like that. All right. Just do something like that. Come out here. And this is very similar to drawing, you know, this phase of it. I'm not using like any alphas or anything. Nothing really too complicated. I'm just drawing in 3D. And if it's sketchy or rough, you know, we can always adjust it later. Let me take a look at the back view we have here. We do have some of those little tufts, those little fibers that we were working with before. But I'm gonna add those as cards probably. Or I don't know, we could do fiber mesh, but I do want to have this be an actual animatable asset. So and actually I think on the front view, I don't know, I was kind of having these come around a little bit. I guess I can do that. I don't need this separation here. I hope the air conditioning isn't making too much noise. Let me know if uh, that's interfering at all. But it's a bit of a warm week here in Los Angeles, although not really. I think it's like 80, 85. Nothing crazy. It's always nice here, but you pay for it. All right, this flow is, I'm not liking the flow of all this stuff. I think I need to shift this around. Oh, another great thing to have on your radar. I have it down here on um my quick keys, or skip, is smooth directional. That was kind of a game changer when I discovered that. Smooth directional is really useful for sculpting because it will, I mean, as the name implies, it will smooth in the direction that you are drawing. You know, if I try to smooth this just with the regular smooth, you know, it starts to eliminate that crease. But if I want to kind of smooth out that whole area, go to smooth directional, and it will smooth out the areas in between without losing that flow, which is very, very useful. All right, I think that's a little bit better. It's still kind of rough, but. And these are like kind of those details that when I was talking before about how you want to have as much of this worked out in the concept as possible. So that when you are in 3D, you can focus on making micro design decisions. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like this whole area here, you know, it needs to be defined. It's been sort of left ambiguous. And yeah, one thing I could have done is just spent a lot of time in the sketch, figuring that stuff out. But you know, any 3D artist has to do some degree of designing during the process. But it's better to be able to leave that to some of the more, you know, detailed aspects versus like the whole, you know, silhouette and bigger forms and stuff. I have to make a decision here about how these pieces are going to work together. I think maybe I had it right before where I have them kind of have the plates sort of ending right here and then there being a bit of a gap. Yeah. Yeah, you could really go wild with this narrative. I mean, it could be, I mean, that's kind of, again, very similar to what happened in District 9. Spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Really cool. But you know, at the end he fully converts into uh one of the prawns, and so it'd be an interesting concept here as well to think, or to have it be like a human consciousness trapped in this lobster body. That definitely gets pretty spooky and tragic as well. All right, so I'm going to switch my clay buildup alpha to alpha 48, which gives us a bit more of a clean result here. So let's keep moving down. Let's keep on moving. Let's go down the back. I think I'm deviating a little bit. Not that much. All these big barnacles and stuff, I'm a little bit conflicted about, but I think I'm going to add them later. I'm concerned they are, because we didn't do the color pass, which again is another reason why I should have done the color pass, but first, before going into this, because it will affect the design, but I'm unsure about how, if the barnacles have a different color, that may negatively affect the overall design. So I think that's a decision I'm going to make later. I'm just going to kind of sculpt things out first. And actually, I want to pull in some of my other references here. There's some good stuff. Got all these little dots. That's kind of detailing. We're not going to do that quite yet. But there is, like I was saying last time, there's sometimes kind of a crimped edge along a lot of these parts. And then in between you have these sort of more inflated regions. So there's kind of this really nice contrast dynamic. Let me find another good example. I should have grabbed more references for today. I'm going to do that next week. Oh, there's one hidden. Hi, buddy. Oh, yeah. Let's not forget about these guys. Oh, yeah. That's great. This would be a great texture to have. These guys are wild. Look them up. Coconut crabs. Like I was saying last time, I watched this really interesting YouTube video on crab evolution and history of crab evolution. Highly recommend it. If you just search that into YouTube, you'll probably find it. Basically, the premise being that crab, the form of crab, is a striking example of there's another term they use for this specifically, but it's basically convergent evolution, where many different branches have simultaneously evolved to have the crab shape, which means a lot of the things that we think are crabs are actually very distantly related to each other, but they just adopt this body shape because it's a very kind of, it's a very useful and effective body form. And these guys, these coconut crabs, they're massive. First of all, they're giant. And yeah, they eat coconuts, but they will also climb up into the nests of birds and eat them. They'll eat like seagulls. They'll grab them and they'll eat whole birds. It's crazy. They are impressive, to say the least. But anyway, pretty cool stuff. What do I want to emulate here? This is pretty good. I'm not going to get into the spikes yet. So yeah, what I'm talking about, or what I was talking about there. So we have these kind of inflated regions, and then along the edge, they kind of crimp out. Is that the right word? I don't know. But you see, I'm getting some weird deformations here, and that's just because of the way the underlying geometry is. So I may, like I said, I'm going to remesh again at some point, but for now, I'm just gonna leave it. Ugh, stop it. Goddamn ZBrush controls. I'm getting distracted. Let's go back to the back. All right, so I want to have these. It's kind of all one piece. Let's stick out like this. Yeah, there's like a little bit of a crease here. And I want these to kind of overlap, so I'm just gonna have this kind of come out down here. Let's see. Yeah, this intersection of the shoulder and arm is, if I were, you know, the concept artist in the situation, which I am, but I'm being lazy. I would break out that section and show how this intersection works, because it's not really shown here. But I'm gonna kind of make it up as we go along here. I really want to carve this out. So we're making a clear separation between our flesh texture and our plates. This plate actually will be removed when we go to asymmetrical. So I may hold off. Well, how are we going to do that? We should decide. You know, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it yet. I'm just going to plow forward. Bring out some little spiky bits. And we'll have some variation in the overall form here. Having this contrast between sharp edges and smooth forms is a strong design principle that translates between both 2D and 3D. And this is what I'm talking about, having this sort of crisp line. God, I cannot remember my shortcuts here. Damn standard is 4. 4, 4, 4. Okay. Crisp line fading into smooth form. Same with the edge here. It's a really nice way to break up a visual space. And as I mentioned previously and many times before, big, medium, small is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, design tool that you can use. So, I'm getting too detailed here. I got to get back to the main forms, but all right, it's good for now. I think I had it right before, and now I've kind of messed it up, but it's okay. We're just exploring, experimenting. All right, let's keep going. Damn standard. What does this look like? Let's Let's look at our reference. Okay, got this. I guess we don't really have those details. Actually, in our concept, this back plate comes out much further and actually kind of goes under the shoulder plate, at least the bigger shoulder plate. So what do we like more? Do we want the overlap or the separation? I kind of like the separation. So I think we're gonna stick with that. Since his arms are slightly lowered compared to their full range of motion, I want to leave a little bit of a gap at the top to imply that he has room to, we don't want him to max out right here. I mean, he probably maxes out like right here, but yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's do this here. I want to break this up a little bit. Let's do a little spike. Just a little sub detail. And carving in those really clear clear separations. We want to really reinforce those. And when we get to it, we can add a lot of those little, bumpy things. That'll be fun. Just going to create a few more of those big, I don't know what to call these. They're kind of like bubbles. I wonder why that happens. Guess we'll never know. Yeah. Yeah, that's looking pretty... It's looking pretty lobsterish. Which is good. Okay, this is kind of pointing inward a little bit. Make sure I capture that. So is this one. Oh yeah, thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you in the chat, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. All right. Let's pull this out a little bit more. This is kind of a really fun, one of my favorite parts of the process is this kind of initial detailing phase. There's just so much freedom here, and you can kind of really lose yourself in the process. So if I go super silent for a while, that's why. But, of course, feel free to drop me a chat and say hello and wake me up or ask any questions. It's always interesting to hear, whether people are, especially with 3D, if people watching are learning 3D, or they're already using it, or they're not even artists, or if they prefer 2D. I don't know. I'm always interested to hear where people are coming from, and what interests them about this process, because I find it really fascinating, and I enjoy doing it and watching it, but I don't know. I forget. I can forget to explain certain things or things that I kind of take for granted that I do. So yeah, drop me a chat if you have any questions or anything. All right, what are we doing here? I really want to pull this out. And it's pretty good. Get some of those skin folds under here. I guess this kind of just transitions into other plate, so maybe we won't see much of the skin, but it's a bit more of an interesting shape, I think. All right, so we have these plates coming down. Let's do, how many do we have? We have these kind of, actually, let's sketch this out a little bit. We have, I think we have, how did I do this? We have at least, I think we have a couple on the side going like this, which are approximating the lateralis, kind of. So let's sketch those in, and then we have these other plates, which are kind of forming this segmented back thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And they have kind of a bit of a pointed tip on both ends. So let's do that. Hmm, that's interesting. I mean, that's not something I really planned for in the concept, but I think I think it works. Again, we're starting to kind of hit the limitations of our lowest subdivision level, so which again is a good kind of deterrent from getting too detailed, I think. Just want to get the major forms in there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's nice to throw a little BPR render on there every now and then, see how it looks with proper lighting. I haven't even really messed with the material at all. I've just left it on matte cap. I usually do, but it's nice to switch it up sometimes. Basic material. I guess this allows you to see a bit more of the specular. And you can change the lighting here, which is nice. Can I do a basic material without the specular? Yeah. Let's do this. And then we can kind of see it from a few angles. We can see the specular. And he looks a little bit more shiny crustacean. I don't know. Actually, usually I sculpt with What do I do? I usually use Matcat Pearl. Which doesn't show the shadows as intensely, but it does show the variations in the form. So you can, if you're doing more like subtle changes, it's a little bit easier to see them here. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Use whatever material you want. Maybe it does matter for some people. I usually forget about it though. I just prefer to focus on the sculpt. And yeah, some of these areas are a little bit wobbly. I'm going to correct a lot of that when we remesh. I'm not concerned about it now. I kind of want to just get all the pieces sort of separated out a little bit more, so when we do remesh, it will take that into account. So I'm probably going to just, like bits like this, I'm going to stretch them out. So that when we retopologize, every time I think of the word retopologize, I think of that song. It's like, it's too late to apologize. You know, I don't know who that is. But in my head, it's like, it's too late to retopologize. And it doesn't even work with the syllables of the song, but that's it just starts playing. Starts playing in my head, so I don't know, guys. I'm sick. I'm sick. All right. Let's keep going. I'm not 100% confident in this plate distribution, but I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. Just got to keep going. Keep going. Don't get hung up on one particular spot because we have a lot to do. A lot to do. A lot to sculpt. All of this, I believe, is going to be... Let's do one more plate here. One more plate, and then they will intersect. All of this, I think, is going to be skin. We want a lot of flexibility around the hips. So we're going to leave that. Actually, this is kind of cool. Yeah, I am using this plate to imitate the upper part of the pelvic bone. And I think I'm just going to exaggerate that a little bit because I think that's a cool idea. I'm not really doing it in the concept. In fact, I think all of this is a bit lower. Or maybe the chest is just smaller. Chest and head? We might have some proportion adjustments to make. Yeah, I think the chest and head... Or I guess we could just lengthen the legs. I think the head does need to be smaller either way. So let's go lowest subdivision. See if we can do this delicately. All right, let's raise that back up. Let's push the eyes in, which are not even really round anymore, but whatever. They're roundish because I'm just using the move tool. And let's do the same here. Okay. I think that's better. Yeah. Well, it needs to go up a little bit, doesn't it, too? Okay. It needs to be smaller. It needs to go up. All right, let's do that again. Lower subdivision. Let's just raise it up. As his head is kind of getting lost in his shoulders there, so Okay. And let's just actually, let's take all of these. Let's move them at once. Where are my eyes? There they are. Shift them up. He looks very shocked. Now. There we go. And also a little bit more sad. But I like the details of his face. I think he needs a little bit more cranial space. Again, we want to emphasize that intelligence. Maybe a little bit less cheekbone. Let's move these in a touch. God, I hope I'm not totally screwing this up. Yeah, with the matte cap pearl, you can really see a lot of these details really effectively, so it's really nice. All right, I think that's our head adjustment. I think we're closer there. He does have a bit more of an eyebrow or brow line here, so I'm gonna do that. And maybe smooth out some of this. There we go. Cool. I like it. All right. Let's keep going. I'm gonna pull his chest out a little bit. Maybe pull this part in. Just little form tweaks. Again, now that I have that lower subdivision level, it's really pretty easy to make these tweaks without screwing up the sculpt. Okay. Man, I feel like his head is still too big. What's going on there? Just shrink it down. The eyes. Okay. And then the other thing was the hips, or the legs, maybe the leg length. Let's compare them. So I think his head needs to go back a little bit. And needs a little bit more of a convex shape. Let's just nudge it back. And now we have to move all of these parts to fit. And you, gonna go back here. And you, push you in there. And you move back. And you go. Actually, these need to be a little smaller, don't they? All right, pretty good. Pretty good there. I gotta stop messing around with these proportions. I say, and then immediately do that. I don't know. This is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. So I'm not concerned. All right. Do I want to, though this is a good question, I should make more definition around the mouth, because we're gonna have to figure out what goes on underneath here. I don't know what it's gonna be exactly, but something. I mean, I think he's just gonna have a lot of little tube things, or little, you know, that kind of stuff, but welcome back. All right. Yeah, we might as well get the approximate shape of these as well. Which they're a little bit flatter than I have here. And they kind of come out a little bit like this. And then they're pointy. And then there's some secondary spiky bits here. A beer on the veranda. That sounds nice. The mosquito bites, not so much. I know how that goes. All right, it's not exactly what I had in mind here. Let's try. Let me get this spike working. It's a little bit hard with this lower resolution. Let me bump it up. Smooth it out. Again, we're going to have to Z-remesh this, most likely, but yeah, something like that. It's kind of wobbly, isn't it? Okay. Close enough. Not going to get super detailed there. And okay, let's keep going. Do we need to adjust the hips? I don't really think so. He's kind of tanky right now, which I think is fine. Maybe we can bring these in a little bit. Okay. Let's keep going. We haven't really gotten very far in terms of the overall thing here. But I'm just seeing one thing I want to adjust. There we go. Have a little bit of thickness towards the top end. Something kind of knobbly there. I don't know. Need some diversity. I'm going to come back to that. Okay. Moving on down, let's go to this spot. Let's carve it out and then sculpt out this edge. Same kind of process, just sort of repeating and repeating. I'm going to use the move to pull this edge out a little bit and then carve underneath. Again, if this were the real world, all of these plates would move independently, but in terms of animating, that's a really hard thing to pull off. really pretty rare that things are set up that way. Um, with armor pieces, sometimes they are, but generally it's considered acceptable to just kind of stretch and morph things with the body because you just you run into less issues with things clipping into each other, and you know, having a bunch of different moving parts can really get complicated. Okay. Very cool, very cool. I like this. I like how this is coming together. Starting to feel much more lobster-like. Going to a lower subdivision and doing some of this smooth form sculpting because I want to have areas of rest between these detailed parts. You know, looking back at this guy, he has some nice. And actually, this will be a really cool thing that we can do in Substance when we get there. Is this coloration? It's really incredible, actually. But we can do it in ZBrush too, if we wanted to demonstrate it. But in these crevices, there's this bright blue color. And then in the peaks, we have this gold. This would be a really interesting color scheme, actually. I'm gonna make a note of that. Question mark? Yes. There you go. Let's just see how that looks for a minute. I want to try that. If we... Okay. I'm just going to move this off for a second. Well, I'll make it smaller. Okay, if we set this color, let's set our base to something like this. Fill object, and then we mask, masking. Mask by cavity. Let's try that. Let's go to the highest subdivision level first. Mask by cavity. You can also mask by curvature. Strength, blur. Oh, that would be good for getting the outer edge. Let's try it. Let's go to our, it's kind of like an orange color. Goldish. Fill object. And then let's try that again. Let's do some more of a reddish, dark red. Okay. And then in our mask by cavity, let's see what happens. Okay, that's a little bit. Mask by peaks and valleys, maybe? I don't know. You can try like different stuff. Mask by AO. subject. Let's try cavity again. Those are very similar. Intensity, cavity profile. That's not what we want. Let's try this one again. New value range. No. Let's try mask by depth. No, that's not what we want. I guess AO could work. Let's try increase occlusion intensity. Or we could do curvature and invert it. Do like really strong. Really want this to work. Oh well, I'm sure there's a better way to do this. Again, once we get into Substance, there's a lot better tools for doing this kind of thing, but I'd hoped. Let's reset. There we go. That's kind of closer. Yeah. All right, let's try filling that with this like electric blue almost. That's not quite working. Huh. Well, yeah, that's pretty close. And then we would, we could change the material to let's see. It's a good one for this. Now, if we want really, really reflective, that's pretty dang close. Pretty similar. Basic material. Skin shade, maybe. Can always increase the specular in the material. Specular increase. Oh. Reflectivity. Yes. Yeah. It's pretty close. I don't know. This kind of sticks out. Let's just see what this looks like on its own. It's no eyes. But yeah, that's a really quick way to throw some color and material preview on there. But I'm gonna switch back to Matcat Pearl, and I'm going to desolo and turn off colors. get back to the sculpt. I don't know. It's a fun way to preview things really quick. See kind of what it would look like with that. I do like this color scheme. So we might return to that. But let's get back to the sculpt. Actually, I'm going to take a quick break here, and then we'll come back. Maybe do another hour or so. I think I can keep going on this. We have a lot left to do in our sculpt. So yeah, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, we are back. Let's get back into it. Okay, one thing I'm seeing right away, I just want to rotate these a little bit. All right. Let's get back to these plates down here. When we get to it, one really cool way we could make all these knobbly things is, if we mask out some spots. I have to remember to change the hotkey for smooth mask, because having it set on click is really kind of annoying. I could set these and then go inflate or something like that, and then we'd have kind of these bumpy things, but I'm not going to get to that yet. Let's see how this works from front to back here. I think, oh, we have some of these other little bits here that we should probably, okay, I think this is one plate right here, right? And then we have some smaller ones kind of going up here, forming an imitation of either the rib cage or those muscles that the name of which I can never remember, but they're there. Kind of this series of small muscles connecting the rib cage with the what are they doing? I don't know. They're doing something, but they're there. Look them up. So we got those, and I think this is going to end right here. So a little bit different than we have in concept, but that's okay. I checked with the concept artist, and he said it's fine. Concept artist is me. All right. This is cool. I like this. I like this. How is this all gonna work? I don't know. Something like that, I suppose. I don't really like that. Something like that might be better. A little bit of variety there. And then this piece. I'm not really sure about how all this is working together, but I guess it's okay. So these are actually going to slide under. They're going to slide under the lat plates, which is exactly how the muscles work. So we are referencing real anatomy here. But it's all pretty wibble wobbly right now, so we gotta, you know, gotta do something about that. Eventually, maybe not now, but and then we have another plate. Let's move to, oh my god, ZBrush, you're killing me. Let's move to this side so we can see better. Got this plate here. What the hell? No. Don't do that. I didn't even know there was a shortcut for that. What did I do? Shift X? Yep. Okay, stop that. Not something I use a lot, but okay. I wonder how this would work with a plate like this at the edge. Trying to find a good example. I think the important thing is that the width is varying. You know, we don't want it to be all the same width, which I think is kind of what I've been doing already in terms of like the edge crimping, I guess we'll call it. There's got to be a better word for that, but we got some flesh pieces, flesh bits in here. That'll be fun to do a little bit more detailing with all of that, but for now we're gonna kind of leave it. Let's go to the back. We're gonna have to go back and clean a lot of this stuff up, but I'm just being kind of really sketchy right now. right, and I think we want to have a big old kind of empty space here. So have a really big shape in the middle. Let's smooth that out. We'll do kind of a medium one over here. And yeah, it's looking good. Do I have perspective on? No, I don't. I like to keep perspective on. Helps to get a better sense of how things look from a human. I only use orthographic if I want to like line things up really specifically, but otherwise, keep in perspective. It helps to read it as more what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's closer to how you would perceive it in life and in a game or movie or whatever you're putting this in. It's gonna have perspective, so you might as well sculpt in perspective. Otherwise, your proportions are gonna look pretty weird. So we got some fleshy bits in here. Got some plates coming in on the side. Want that all to work. I'm still keeping it on smooth directional. I tend to just keep I tend to just keep it on smooth directional all the time. It just gives you more control anytime you're smoothing. And if you want to just do regular smoothing, you can just kind of, cross hatch a little bit while you're smoothing or smooth in circles and you get pretty much the same effect. But I think in basically every context, smooth directional is gonna be better for you. We're definitely stretching our geometry pretty bad down here. But maybe I could just go down a level of subdivision and that'll be that. We'll go back here once we remesh and straighten things out. This is why that A pose is really useful, because we can easily sculpt in and define a lot of these areas. Let's see, maybe we'll have a little spike here. Let's look back at our concept, make sure we're not getting lost. All right. It's pretty good. I'm just going to push this out a little bit. So that goes there, that goes there. This probably is more like that. Let's move down to the tail. We have a plate 1 goes like this, then comes out here. It's a little bit different than what we have sculpted, so I have to correct that. And actually, so we have 1, 2, and then I think this guy needs to come out like that. And then this one will do the same. And we'll have these kind of spike out a little bit. And same down here. Spike out. Let's see. Does this? I think this one will slide under here. We're gonna have some cards for all that. Again, for all the, you know, kind of frilly stuff happening there, but I think we just want to get the basic form in. The goal here, you know, is essentially to prepare this, you know, increase the resolution of the detail and prepare for another another remesh. So we want to make sure that bits that are sticking out are sticking out. Bits that are overlapping, creases are emphasized, that kind of thing. We're just basically subdividing this into smaller, smaller discrete components. And yeah. This is not exactly the way I have it. And I think I prefer... Okay, I think I need to combine... What am I doing here? What the heck am I doing? I'm just going to smooth this all out. This is getting pretty messy. So, this, combine this. This goes over here. And then let's do 3. And this is all one piece. Okay, I think that's right. I keep looking up at my OBS, but my reference is right here. Okay, so this, I'm going to shift up. And this is going to come around like that. Damn, that actually is not the way it is. Let me get this rhythm right. I'm just like completely blind to what I already created in the concept. I keep missing it. It's a little bit tricky. There we go. I think that is closer to what we have there. And then this is here. It's kind of a weird shape, but that's the way it is. And then this cuts off here. Yeah, this is a very challenging section for some reason. I guess I didn't show this in the concept at all, but you can probably have some flexible plates along the bottom here. It seems like something a crustacean would have. Okay. And let's see, these are kind of coming out a little bit like this. These are going in. And yeah, I think that's basically where everything needs to be. All right, I should save this. Lobster Man. Master. Sometimes I save out C tools too as I go through. I have some previous versions. I'll do that too. Just do desktop. Zbrush. Let's do 001. Okay. Whoops. And just so I get this form right, I'll have this a little bit, going like that. That's good. All right, moving on to, let's do the front part. Let's see what we got going on here. Whoops, come on. Are you frozen? Pure F. Come on, buddy, don't die on me. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay. Let's look at our front. Okay, we have this pelvic plate. Actually, I think I'm going to shift all of this up because if you think about him twisting and bending in the middle, a lot of this stuff would kind of be poking into him. So I want to make sure I'm accommodating that. I mean, when it comes to actual animation, it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of about what looks possible. And definitely having a big pokey plate right around his midriff would raise some flags. Even if, it's those things that I've talked about, like, even if your viewer is not conscious of what looks wrong or why it looks wrong, you know, they can still pick it up. People are very, very perceptive like that about anything that doesn't look quite like it should. Okay. You know what? I think some of these details just got squashed, so I'm just gonna whatever. Okay. Something weird happened there. I'm not sure. Let's see what we did. What did we do? Let's go back to this. I think, yeah, that's better. All right. Got our pelvic plate. It's a little bit different than it is in concept. Let's see how that coloration is looking with all this. Still pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of matching the sculpt. See what it looks like with the BPR. Pretty cool. You know, this shoulder piece is really sticking out to me. I think before I move any further, I gotta address this. Oh yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to do. Just kind of raise this up. And it's gonna have some spikes and stuff too, but I'm not gonna get around to that quite yet. All right, let's go in here. We have some pretty clear reference for this, so let's use that. This is actually not really at all what I concepted, so let's fix that. This part. It's kind of a big bulge here. And then a littler bulge. And then just kind of this one here. And see this bit. It's pretty thick. Let's pinch. Maybe that'll work. Pinch this edge a touch to thin it out. And then we go in and draw. Have this part. And we have some spikes. Yeah, already much more interesting. Okay, I think I did something very different here. So let's work that out. Got this coming in like that. And then again, we're kind of stretching our geometry to its limits here, so we will be doing a Z remesh with all of this, but just getting in kind of the major forms here. Yeah, that's a little bit closer. Six, inflate. Let's inflate these a little bit. Actually, I've not really been using the inflate enough, but it's useful for a lot of this. All right, back to the clay sculpt, or the clay build. Having a little bit of trouble defining this area here, but I think it will come. When the time is right. Oh yeah, there it is. Sometimes a lot of this process is just looking for something, and you don't really know what it is until you find it. Log out. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Enjoy the mosquitoes and beers. Take care. All right, so we got some good lumpy things happening here. Let's kind of deepen some of these creases. Maybe pinch. Let's pinch some of these things. What do I got? Pinch on 7 or 8. There we go. Just gonna really tighten up that edge. And this looks a bit strange, so let's build that out. It's nice when you're working with something organic. You don't have to worry too much about everything lining up properly or being consistent width or any of that. In fact, you know, it's usually better not to do that. So really it is a very different workflow than the hard surface stuff. Both are very fun, but not quite as confident in my hard surface skills, or at least confident enough in my ability to do that during a live stream, because it is a little bit more cognitively demanding. Let's look from a distance, see how this is going. It's going pretty good. I really like this interplay between these hard and soft forms. I could probably do this for hours, but I'm probably going to have to call it for today pretty soon. Should probably go get some food. Attend to the demands of the flesh prison. Oh, plus my wrist is starting to hurt. Ah, man, I had surgery on this wrist last year, and I can't imagine all this drawing has really helped with that. In fact, it's kind of what led to it, in a way, but you know, it's not going to stop me. Let's check it out. Let's do BPR. Let's try color. We still haven't colored these pieces, but I don't know. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's try your color here. Let's fill it. Let's just do the same for these. Just so we're consistent here. And then maybe the eyes we can do some kind of I don't know. And then for this, let's try that mask by cavity. Let's hit it with this blue. Whoops, invert. Soften that. Oh my god. It's pretty intense. Mask. Mask. Let's shrink. Whoops. Shrink mask. No. Yes. Shrink mask. Invert. Fill object. There we go. That's a little bit closer to what we want. Let's do mask by curvature again. And then let's pick that orangey thing. Fill object. So we're pretty much same material. This guy looks wild. Let's actually do the same thing again since we adjusted the sculpt a bit. Let's color pick. Let's fill it. Let's mask by cavity. I'm going to blur mask. Invert. Let's pick that. I guess I'm kind of losing these colors a little bit, but fill object. And then mask by curvature again. I don't know, this is just kind of a fun thing. Fill object. And then let's give him something, some kind of shiny. It's reflected plastic, maybe. Let's turn up the specular. Oh my god. Crazy. It's kind of reading as metallic right now. I don't really mess with these channels that much, but specular power. All right, maybe this is not the material for us. Toy plastic, that's the one I was looking for. Yeah. If we do a little VPR render. Give him some shadows. I don't know. Pretty interesting. It's definitely a little too reflective. Turn specular down a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I don't know. What do we think? BPR render. Getting there. Well, all right. I think I'm gonna call it for today. Yeah, this is coming along. Let's take a look at the back. Those materials are pretty similar. Not quite as intense with the golds, but you know, this is just a preview kind of what we could have. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you to those of you who have popped in and watched me sculpt this guy and ramble incoherently and all that fun stuff. I've enjoyed getting deeper into the sculpt with you guys, and yeah, I will be doing this again next Sunday around the same time. So yeah, hope to catch you guys then, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.